I seek to end the war as soon as possible, and that is why I have instructed the IDF to shorten the timetable for taking control of Gaza City. There is no way for Israel to reduce the timetable for the takeover of Gaza City. If we had wanted to commit genocide, it would have taken exactly one afternoon.
Now, if we had a starvation policy, no one in Gaza would have survived after 2 years of war. Given Hamas's refusal to lay down its arms, Israel has no choice but to finish the job and complete the defeat of Hamas. Good afternoon. I'm glad you came here because I'd like to take the opportunity to puncture the lies and tell the truth. The truth is that Hamas still has thousands of armed terrorists in Gaza. It vows to repeat the savagery of the October 7th massacre and to do so again and again and again. It openly professes its goal to destroy the state of Israel. It subjugates Gazans. It steals their foods. It shoots them when they try to move to safe zones. And I think it's instructive that now many Gazans are fighting back. They're begging us, they're begging the world, free us, and free Gaza from Hamas. No nation can accept a genocidal terrorist organization, an organization committed to its annihilation, a stone's throw from its citizens. Our goal is not to occupy Gaza. Our goal is to free Gaza, free it from Hamas terrorists. The war can end tomorrow if Gaza, or rather if Hamas lays down its arms and releases all the remaining hostages. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will have overriding security responsibility. A security zone will be established on Gaza's border with Israel to prevent future terrorist incursions. A civilian administration will be established in Gaza that will seek to live in peace with Israel. That's our plan for the day after Hamas, and let me summarize it. 5 principles for concluding the war. 1, Hamas disarmed. 2nd, all hostages freed. 3rd, Gaza demilitarized. 4th, Israel has overriding security control. And 5, non-Israeli peaceful civilian administration. By that I mean a civilian administration that doesn't educate its children for terror, doesn't pay terrorists, and doesn't launch terrorist attacks against Israel. That's what we want to see in Gaza. So it's neither Hamas nor the PA. That's our plan. Given Hamas's refusal to lay down its arms, Israel has no choice but to finish the job and complete the defeat of Hamas. Now, we've done a great deal. We have about 70 to 75% of Gaza under Israeli control, military control. But we have 2 remaining strongholds, okay? These are Gaza City and the central camps in the Muasi. That's roughly, it's schematically presented here, but it's fairly accurate. Last Thursday, Israel's Security Cabinet, instructed the IDF to dismantle the 2 remaining Hamas strongholds in Gaza City and the central camps. Contrary to false claims, this is the best way to end the war and the best way to end it speedily. We will do so by first enabling the civilian population to safely leave the combat areas to designated safe zones. In these safe zones, they'll be given ample food, water, and medical care, as we've done before. And again, contrary to false claims, our policy throughout the war has been to prevent a humanitarian crisis, while Hamas's policy has been to create it. Since the beginning of the war, Israel has let in close to 2 million tons of aid. I know of no other army that has enabled such aid to go to the civilian population in enemy territory. Now, if we had a starvation policy, no one in Gaza would have survived after 2 years of war. But our policy has been the exact opposite. We let in, as I said, almost 2 million tons of aid and sent millions of text messages, millions of phone calls to Gazans to get out of harm's way. Yet in the last few months, Hamas has violently looted the aid trucks meant to get to Palestinian civilians. They deliberately created a shortage of supply. And the UN consistently refused, until recently, to distribute the thousands of trucks that we led into Gaza through the Kerem Shalom crossing. So there are problems. We've had tons of uncollected food rotting on the Gazan side of the border because the UN was and still is unwilling to deliver all of it. Here are the tons and tons and tons of humanitarian aid that Israel led in to the Gazan side of the Kerem Shalom crossing. It's just sitting there because it's not distributed. So now we're going to go around this obstacle. We are going around it by doing three things. One, can I show this, please? Okay. Designating safe corridors for humanitarian aid distribution. No, that's showing the problem, not showing the solution, but here it is. First, designating rather safe corridors for aid distribution. You can drive trucks there and you'll be safe. Second, increasing the number of safe distribution points managed by the Gazan humanitarian foundations. And three, airdrops. That's airdrops done by the Israeli Air Force, and we're inviting others to join us. The result has been a humanitarian surge, which we're coordinating with President Trump and his team, and hundreds of trucks have gone in recent days. This is preventing hunger, but it's not prevented the global campaign of lies that we have all witnessed. So in Gaza, despite Hamas's obstacles, 2 million people are now getting access to humanitarian aid. But I'll tell you who isn't. The only ones that are being deliberately starved in Gaza are our hostages. This is Evyatar David. Look at his hand, at his arm. He's being deliberately starved by these Hamas monsters. And look at the Hamas captor. Look at the difference. He's eating, and he's eating well. The purpose of this news conference is to puncture the lies and spread the truth, but that distortion has been propelled around the earth, almost the way that the Jewish people were maligned in the Middle Ages. Every massacre of the Jewish people was preceded by massive vilification. We were said to be spreading vermin to Christian societies. We were said to be poisoning the wells. We were said to slaughter Christian children for their blood. And as these lies spread around the globe, they were followed by horrific massacres, pogroms, displacements, finally culminating in the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust. Today, the Jewish state is being maligned in a similar way. Everything that I told you could be verified easily, but it hasn't. And the international press has bought hook, line, and sinker Hamas statistics, Hamas claims, Hamas forgeries, and Hamas photographs. For example, these three children. The first one is Osama al-Rakub. He is in Italy getting treatment because Israel got him out. That's what he looks like today. He has a genetic disease that damages the lungs and digestive system. It makes it hard to absorb nutrients and gain weight, okay? So Israel facilitated Osama's travel to Italy, where he got the medical aid that transformed his position. The second one is Abdul Qadir al-Fayumi. He suffers from a genetic neurological disorder, spinal muscular atrophy, a degenerative condition that causes muscle wasting, weakness, and severe weight loss unrelated to nutrition. This was the real cause of his frail appearance, not starvation. In fact, he was treated in Israel in 2018. Doesn't help because it's a congenital disease and it defies most treatment at least. The third one is the most celebrated one. This is a New York Times cover photo. It's on the front page of Muhammad Zakaria Ayub and his mother. Muhammad Zakaria Ayub is suffering from a genetic illness, which you're familiar with. It's called cerebral palsy. His mother is well fed, and his brother is healthy. I'm looking right now into the possibility of a governmental suit against the New York Times because this is outrageous. Of course, the correction was postage size. I don't know where it was buried. But this is outrageous. These are the 3 most celebrated photos, and they're all fake. It's the kind of malignant lies that were leveled at the Jewish people in the Middle Ages. We won't suffer. We won't allow it to go.
Last Thursday, the cabinet made a dramatic decision to defeat Hamas. After the IDF took over 70% of the Strip in Operation Gideon Chariots, the cabinet will instruct the IDF to move to the defeat phase. It will instruct the IDF to take over the last remaining strongholds of Hamas. And the first of them, the capital of terror, is the city of Azaz. I want to show you this on the map. The IDF controls the entire area. It is schematic, but it describes quite accurately what is happening in this area, Gaza City. These are the Central and Muassi camps. The Palestinian population is in both places. These are the center of gravity, Gaza City, where the headquarters are located, where the infrastructure is located, where Hamas controls. In addition, the cabinet adopted 5 principles for ending the war. 1. Dismantling Hamas from power. 2. The complete restoration of the killed, both the living and the dead. 3. The separation of the Strip. Disarming the Strip is different from disarming Hamas because it means preventing the possibility of producing weapons and also preventing the possibility of smuggling weapons into the Strip. 4. Israeli security control in the Gaza Strip. And 5. An alternative civilian government that is not Hamas and is not a Rashab, that is, that does not educate its children for terrorism, does not finance terrorism and does not perpetrate terrorism, a government that will live in peace with the State of Israel. The IDF will allow the population of the city of Gaza to evacuate from the fighting zones, as we did successfully in Han Yunis, Rafah, and recently in Deir al-Balah. We will allow civilians an orderly and safe exit corridor and humanitarian aid outside the fighting zones. After months of fruitless negotiations, it became clear that Hamas simply did not want a deal. Hamas stuck to its guns. It is an impossible condition not only in our opinion but also in the opinion of the allied countries. What about these conditions? They include a complete withdrawal from the Strip, including from the Philadelphia Axis, which would allow the free flow of weapons, the release of the Nakba terrorists, these monsters, a demand for binding international guarantees that will not allow the scoundrel to return to fighting. These are terms of surrender that no responsible government would agree to accept, and I certainly will not agree to accept them. Hamas misled us, so I have come to the conclusion that the only way to return all our hostages is to recognize Hamas. Now the cabinet has also come up with an alternative of staying in place while steamrolling these Hamas strongholds that remain and carrying out the raids. After a thorough discussion, an absolute majority of my cabinet members believed that in this way we would neither achieve recognition nor the return of our hostages. I remind you that at the beginning of the war, there was a very senior security official who said that we should get used to the idea that we would not return even one hostage, not even one alive. I thought otherwise, and indeed, in the way I led, we have so far returned most of our hostages, 205 out of 255, 148 of them alive. We are committed to returning the 20 surviving hostages and the 30 hostages who are not alive who are in Gaza. I have seen and am in constant contact with the families of the hostages. We see their suffering. We feel their suffering and it touches our hearts. It breaks our hearts. I am determined to return them all. Citizens of Israel, we are at a historic crossroads. A day after the massacre of October 7th, I said we will change the face of the Middle East, and that is exactly what we are doing together, breaking the Iranian axis in Lebanon. Hezbollah is down and the new government is working to disarm it. In Syria, Assad has fallen. We have captured the crown of Mount Hermon and we are working to free the area across the border and protecting our Druze brothers from slaughter. In Iran, we have neutralized 2 existential threats, the existential nuclear threat and the existential ballistic missile threat. This is a historic achievement, an achievement that they try to gloss over, saving the lives of 10 million citizens and saving the lives of the State of Israel for generations. Securing our future for generations is no trivial matter. All of this was done despite immense pressure at home and abroad to stop the war, pressure before we even entered Rafah. If I had surrendered to these pressures, Hamas would still be in control of Gaza, Nasrallah would be in Lebanon, Assad in Syria, and Iran today would be racing toward nuclear weapons and producing 20,000 ballistic missiles. Both of these threats endanger our existence. Now in Gaza too, we have made great achievements. We have gained control over most of the territory, we have eliminated many commanders and terrorists, and destroyed the capacity to produce and launch rockets. Hamas has been pushed to the last 2 Gaza strips that I have shown, but I must also tell the truth, the victory is not yet complete. Eliminating Hamas is a condition for the security of Israel and our future. We cannot look our children in the eye and leave the perpetrators of the massacre just a few meters behind the fence from our communities. The test now is fateful, our willpower to eliminate those who seek our lives versus their willpower to destroy us. I am determined to end the war with our victory. And precisely because I am aware of the great effort of the reserve forces, I seek to end the war as much as possible, and therefore there is no way for Israel to reduce the timetable for the takeover of Gaza City. There was no starvation. There was no starvation. There was a shortage, but certainly not a policy of starvation. I said now in a press conference, if we wanted starvation, if that was our policy, 2 million people wouldn't be alive today after 20 months. The same thing with genocide. If we wanted to create genocide, it would take exactly 1 afternoon.